Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop. We're working on this original fuel tank that came out of that CJ3A project, and it was in pretty tough shape inside, but the outside was worth saving. And I'm going to show you guys how to save a tank even if it's in tough shape. I don't know if I can get you in there. What I did was when I sandblasted it, I stuck a nozzle in there in the fill hole, and I stuck it in the sending unit hole, and I cleaned as much as I could with the sandblaster because it's so built up and gunky in there that I had to do something. There's still a lot of gum and varnish in there, and there wasn't any, I couldn't get anything to come out of the you know, where you hook your fuel line. Let me see if I can get you in there. Just hang in there while I try and focus in there and get you in there. Okay, you see all that junk in there? That was completely plugging up the fuel. So I started poking at it with this piece of welding wire, and that's what the whole inside of the tank is like. It's thick and built up like that. So we're going to take a few chemicals and try and dissolve all that stuff. And the reason we're saving this tank is because the original tanks are so much nicer than any of the reproduction stuff you can get. So if you have an original tank and you think it's not worth saving, it's got some holes in it maybe, or inside's really messed up, no big deal. They can all be fixed. So the first thing we're going to do is plug up both these holes. In your drain hole, that's just a regular pipe thread. And the other one, that's an inverted flare fitting that needs to go in there, and that's what that looks like. It's just an inverted flare plug. You can get these at an auto parts store. Don't try and jam a pipe plug in that particular hole. That needs a special inverted flare plug. But what we're doing is we're plugging off both of those, and then we'll get our cleaner in there. So I need some hot water to activate the cleaner. I'm going to go heat up some water and plug these holes and be right back with you. Okay, here's the cleaner we're going to use in here to get rid of all that gum and varnish. Most of it's on the bottom, so we're going to let the tank, we're going to agitate the tank when we put it in there and let it sit flat. And this is going to be a couple day process, so we're going to mix the first quart, put it in there, and activate it with some warm water, slosh it around, and let it do its job. This is from the Bill Hirsch Company. And again, I want to tell everybody I'm not associated with these guys or anything, but they do have, I think, the finest fuel tank restoration kit out there. And it starts with this heavy-duty cleaner and degreaser. And then after this, once we know the tank is clean inside, we're going to etch the tank with some special etch product that they have, and then we're going to coat it with a gas tank sealer. And I've tried other ones out there, and I can tell you that every other one I've tried has failed, and it's come off the tank. But I have this Bill Hirsch system in place on vehicles that are over 20 years old, still going good. I've saved a lot of tanks with this stuff, and I think it's the finest stuff out there. But you know, if there's anything else you guys like, just make sure the tank is clean, and it should be okay. But first thing we're going to do is put the quart of this cleaner in there, and I've got some water heating up. We'll put the hot water in there, and it'll just do its job overnight. We'll probably put a second application in, maybe a third application. We got to get the sides of the tank clean. The top side's got to get cleaned. So don't rush this part of it. And like I say, get the tank as absolutely clean as you possibly can in there, and that'll just make everything go much nicer and easier. So let me go get the hot water, and we'll put everything in here. Okay, we'll try and get some of this warm water in there without spilling too much of it. Well, maybe we'll spill a bunch of it. Okay, well, I spilled some, but no big deal. We can add some more. I'll shake this up a little bit. And in it goes. Okay, we'll put the cap on, and we'll just kind of slosh it around in there and let that chemical go to work. Okay, so not much excitement here. We're just going to let that sit, and we're going to come back tomorrow, drain it out. You can reuse the stuff again if you want to put it back in there with some more warm water and maybe stand the tank on the end. But I like to use a fresh quart for every position I'm going to use. So today I want to clean the bottom of the tank, and then maybe tomorrow we'll flip it and we'll clean that side of the tank. And then on the third day we'll probably clean that side of the tank. If your tank's not bad, sometimes you don't even need to do this step. But this one's bad enough where we need to do it. So we're going to take our time and get squeaky clean in there. So when we put our etch in there, it'll do, it'll etch the actual steel, and it won't, be trying to go through varnish and gum and old fuel and stuff like that. So you got to have patience when you do this process. And normally you do it on very rare tanks and stuff. You can't get another one. And like I said, you could get tanks, but the quality is horrible on the reproductions and you won't like them. So if you have an original and you want to save it, just follow along with this process, and you'll be able to save any tank. Even if it has holes in it, you can putty them, put the sealer in there, and it'll be fine. So stick around, and we'll cover this again, a little bit through the days as we get there, and I'll show you all the processes. And right now we're going to head over to the chassis. I've been getting a lot of comments on transmission transfer case lube that I have. If you guys wanted to see it, we're going to fill up the transmission transfer case today with the correct lube, and I'm going to set the camera up over there and be with you in a minute. Okay guys, here we are over at the chassis, and we're going to fill up the transmission transfer case and the overdrive. And I like to, when I'm at this stage of restoration, I like to fill it up. I just remove the cover. It's just easier to put it in that way. You can put it in through the fill plug on the transmission and the fill plug on the transfer case. You get a little hand pump that connects to the gallon jug, and you can fill it up that way with no trouble. But I get it in bulk, 5-gallon drums, 30-gallon drums, or 55-gallon drums, and I keep a drum around, and I've got a hand pump. Now, lube that we're putting in here, this is not something you could just go out and get. We have it specially designed, and a lot of guys are like, oh, tell me where I can get it, but it's just not available out there. I've been supplying lube probably for about 30 years now, and not a lot of guys like to use it, but I can't understand why. And some guys will just put regular gear oil in there, for a rear end, and then they wonder why their transmission doesn't work anymore. You can't put modern oil in there that has any extreme pressure additives. That will absolutely destroy everything that's non-ferrous inside that transmission. That means your thrust washers, your blocking rings, and you'll know it because you won't be able to shift after it gets done eating that stuff away. This lube has no extreme pressure additives, and I'll show it to you coming out. I can supply this to you in any viscosity, whether you're running in the desert or if you're in the Antarctic. You know, I could get you some thin stuff, some thick stuff, whatever you need. And it's specially designed to work in these gearboxes. You've got helical gears in here, you've got straight cut gears in here. This will work with everything. And it's easy to put in here when the cover's off. But like I say, you could just get a squirt bottle and, you know, something like rear end fluid would have, and squirt it in that way. But it really clings to the gears, and it doesn't just fall off like, you know, 90 weight would. So I'm going to fill it up here, let it just soak into the transfer case. But I just want to show you guys, this is what I use for basically the all-around lube. You know, guys that are running springtime, summertime, in the fall, this is perfect for that temperature range. If you got a snowplow Jeep or something like that, and you know you're going to be running in the winter, I can supply you with a little bit thinner stuff. If you got a leaky gearbox, I could give you a little bit thicker stuff, and it'll stop or slow down the leak for you if you don't want to get in there and fix it right away. Like I say, I could give you super thin stuff, and I could give you stuff that you could practically grab with your hands and make a snowball out of. It so thick. So, like I say, you can't just run down to Napa or any of those stores to get this. We've worked on this for a long time, and it's here, it's available, and if you need it, just give me a shout. Okay, we got that pretty much to the fill plug. We're going to let that settle for a while, let it seep into the transfer case, and we'll come back and take a look at it in a little bit. Okay, here's a shot of the gears. I'm going to try and turn a little bit and keep the camera steady. I just want to show you how it picks up the oil. Okay, now it's got oil on it. I think you can see that okay. It's not just going to run off there like a thin gear lube, like say, you know, if you go and you get yourself some 90 weight, again, which is only do you harm. This is going to cling to the gear, and we could come back in 10 minutes or we could come back in 2 days and there's still going to be oil clinging to the gear, and that's a good thing. That's what you want. And when you're shifting this, there have been restorations I've done where guys insisted on putting, you know, regular rear end fluid in here, and it makes them hard to shift. The gear oil does nothing to slow the gears down. Getting into first and reverse is a pain. So you don't want a real thin oil in here. Like I say, this has been developed with absolutely no additives in it, and it's safe for the transmission, transfer case, and overdrive. I know there's a lot of guys that like to use the GL5 because it doesn't have additives either, and it'll work, but you're basically stuck with one viscosity. And if you're running in the summertime, sometimes it's too thin. If you're running in the winter, sometimes it's too thick. You know, it's basically up to you what you want to put in your transmission transfer case. You know, probably just have a real handful of guys out of the, you know, out of 30 years I've been selling this. I've probably got just a handful of guys that really understand it and want to use it, and really want to take care of their vehicle. If you're one of those people, I can help you out with it. If not, all I can do is recommend against modern gear oil. It'll just destroy your transmission, and if you have it in there, you know, you really should get it out, but it's entirely up to you. Okay, we're going to let this drain into the transfer case for a while, and we'll come back and I'll show you what everything looks like topped off. Okay, there's the transmission full of lube, and you can see we weren't splashing any around, so it's still hanging onto that first and reverse gear real good, and there's a nice film on the second gear and all the other parts. And then I put a couple extra pumps into the transfer case, and then put the plug in there. Put a little sealer on that plug too, because the oil's splashing around in there. Not just on the bottom, but on the fill plug too. You need a little bit of sealer. Overfilled both of them just a little bit. And when we fire this up, when the engine comes back, we'll have it on the lift here, and we'll rotate through all the gears. And what that'll do is fill up our overdrive. And then what we'll do is check the levels again, top them off if necessary, and that's about it. So we're going to put the cover on now, and if anybody's interested in any of the proper lube for their vehicle, just shoot me a comment. Let me know what you need, what kind of conditions you'll be driving in. I'd be happy to help you out with some of the correct lube for your T90 or Model 18 transfer case. And we're going to end the video here. So let me know what you think. Hit the like button, subscribe, send me a comment, let me know if there's anything you want to see, and we'll try and get it out there for you. Okay, I'll catch you next time.